Hello, it's Tim from Fair Play now on the 25th of October 2024. So for various reasons I've been seeing a lot of mainstream media, and when I say various reasons, nothing to do with me. I'd rather obviously not be watching it at all, but whether it's been in customers' houses where they've had the TV on all day and various other things, I've unfortunately had to watch or at least listen to a fair bit of BBC and mainstream media, probably more than what I've seen in a very long time indeed. And one or two things stood out to me. First of all, especially the BBC hasn't exactly changed much at all, has it? When you consider it's been at least 5.5 years, maybe 6 years since I've watched it properly, and it's just basically all the same programs, all the same people, and yeah, they don't exactly believe in mixing it up, do they, the BBC? And but the thing that really stood out, and that what I want to talk about today, is you know how the BBC like to have their BBC adverts, as I call them, where basically they pat themselves on their own backs kind of thing, and essentially say, you know, how fantastic they are, and yeah, you should keep paying your TV license and keep watching us because we are so fantastic, is what these sort of adverts they have on say, essentially. And you won't believe one of them. I couldn't believe it, and it is basically about how the BBC tell the truth all the time. Yeah, we work tirelessly to uncover the truth and bring you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. And yeah, that is our mission, and you can rely on us to be a trustworthy source of the truth. And I was sitting there, and you can probably guess, if you're a regular viewer, what my reaction to that might have been. I wasn't quite throwing things at the TV, but I was you know, letting rip a little bit, under my breath at least. And it is just unbelievable, because I've literally seen with my own eyes that they don't tell the truth. You know, those big London marches where there was at least 1 million people on them, the biggest ones, going back to the summer of 2021, literally the biggest, or among the biggest demonstrations London has ever seen, and they didn't report on it at all, not a dicky bird about it. And that is lying in my book. You might not think, well, if they don't say anything, that's not lying. Well, there is something called lying by omission, when you know full well that something is going on, but you choose not to report on it. And when you consider that the BBC tout themselves as a journalistic organisation, or not just a journalistic organisation, but the best journalistic organisation out there, they would have known full well that those events were happening, and they chose not to report on it. And that quite simply makes them not journalists or reporters or a reporting organisation, but a propaganda organisation. If you're going to pick and choose what you want to talk about and not talk about things that, although they're the truth, they're uncomfortable for you and what you represent and believe in as an organisation or as an individual, and your job is to report on the truth, as they were saying they do, well, then I'm sorry, you can't call yourself a journalistic organisation. And what they were doing was just following the government narrative. No doubt they were told by the government, do not report on any of these lockdown protests, etc. Again, that is not something the BBC should be doing. They shouldn't even be listening to the government, and the government shouldn't have any right at all. And I don't think they do have any right to go muzzling sort of journalistic organisations like that, TV companies, newspapers, etc. And so there's a big failing there, and there's a big failing with our mainstream media in that they listen to the government when they should be giving the government two fingers and saying, no, sorry, we're not listening to you. This is what's going on and we're going to report on it. So, yeah, and that is just one of many things. That's just an example that I've seen firsthand with my own eyes, that they were lying by omission about. And I've got the video evidence because, of course, as you know, again, if you're a very regular viewer of this channel, I was up there with my camera recording and videoing all of these protests, and I saw how big they were. So I've got the evidence recording, or I've recorded the evidence, should I say, and they are on my various hard drives as we speak. So yeah, it's a little bit galling, isn't it, when these organisations say they represent the truth and really they don't whatsoever. So while I'm on this kind of topic, but changing tack slightly, I'll just finish this video off by talking about weather forecasts, because with all of this TV viewing that I've been having to do against my will, really, I've had to sit through weather forecasts. And honestly, why do people even take any notice of weather forecasts? I mean, it's just I can't even see the point of them. And you know, I don't really ever purposely go and look at weather forecasts if I can possibly help it. I might just go onto an app maybe, and if I'm planning a cycle ride, and you know, if it says it's going to be chucking it down all day long, I might think twice about going on a cycle ride. But there again, if you do that too much, you'd never go for any cycle rides or any anything else that's outdoors anyway, because yeah, the number of times they say, oh yeah, it's going to be raining heavily today for most of the day, and then in the end it turns out to be quite a nice day. Yeah, the number of times that happens is ridiculous. So when I was in Malaysia as part of my travels a few weeks ago, one thing I did is, well, I did several cycle rides actually out in the Far East, and I found a cycle ride with a guide and a hire bike, and I joined a few other people, and we went around cycling around the Penang sort of countryside, and saw monkeys, saw monitor lizards, and saw a lot of very interesting things. And yeah, even though it's a rather sweaty experience, as you can imagine, cycling around in that heat, luckily it was all on the flat and very gentle with plenty of brakes, so it wasn't too bad. But the tour guide was saying that you know, in Malaysia they don't even bother with weather forecasts or bother listening to them, because if you did, you'd just never go out, because they always say it's going to rain, and then sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So all they do, instead of listening to weather forecasts, he said that most Malaysians just carry a small umbrella around with them. Which, you know, if everybody just had a small umbrella, you know, one of those tiny little folding things which goes down to about that long or whatever, and you could keep it in your pocket or your rucksack or your sort of handbag if you're a lady, you know, why would you have to bother with weather forecasts? I thought that was quite funny. And another thing that might amuse you is towards the end of the cycle ride, it was literally just the last mile, or not even that, last half mile, the heavens opened and yours truly got absolutely drenched by the time I got back to the base where the ride started from and finished up at. And yeah, just totally drenched in this huge tropical downpour, but it was all good. And the thing about rain out there is, at least least it's still hot, so it's not like you're kind of cold and shivering because you're all wet. In some ways it's a relief. And then it didn't last long, the rain, and then when the sun comes out, all you got to do is walk around or sit around in the sun for half an hour, and even though you're drenched, you end up dry again. So yeah, it was all good and all part of the experience. So but that was a really interesting cycle ride that I did. So yeah, tell me in the comments section below what you think about the BBC. I'm expecting to see, and their truth-telling abilities, and I'm expecting to see some pretty choice answers, I can tell you. So feel free to let rip in the comment section below. So that's it for now. Tim from Fair Play Now, thanks for watching.